Once more, good evening, everybody. I'm Nima Bakshi. I am the co-president of the Silicon Valley. Fast becoming close friend, John Soper, is the other co-president. And we are absolutely thrilled with the three people sitting in between us in terms of what we're going to talk about with their help and with you this evening. So if you'll give me a couple minutes to go through a little bit of setup, it'll give you some context for what it is we're doing up here, what our topic is, how we're going to flow this evening, and where you get involved. As I do that, I want to start with a thanks. As you can tell, if in today's digital world you can have people crowd and see nobody, there's another way to get energy into a room, and that's when a lot of very seasoned, talented people come together and are ready to engage on a game-changing topic. And so thank you all for coming this evening. John is going to elaborate on just how diverse a group you really are. We couldn't have put this kind of event together. We could not have put this kind of series. And this evening is the first of 3 series that we call Game Changer. We'll go into more about what that means in a second. Without the help of Cisco Systems. Cisco Systems, I call it a lifelong companion to ASAP in terms of providing insights, visions, best practices, and even methods of driving alliances and business partnering in the world today. And in this context, they were extremely, extremely supportive of the venue we wanted to create, the panelists we wanted to bring together. And with that, we have deemed them the executive sponsors of the Game Changing series, this being the first. A huge thank you to Raja Sundaram, and Raja's team, Shelley Hill, Sarah Brown. I've done a ton, as you can tell, in making this a great start. Thank you, Raja. Thank you, Shelley. Okay, so this is one of those topics where every day you think, I'm going to stop here, and I've got plenty of examples about how fast, how much, and how deep the world is changing. From a business sphere, financially, sovereign, issues galore, and yet every day you pick up the paper or you look at if you have a Twitter account, and it just won't stop. So let me introduce then what we wanted to talk about in the frame of Game Changer, and then I'm going to turn it over to John to talk about the people we have, the audience that we have to participate in the discussion. Game Changer, put in one sentence, is about strategic shifts, paradigm-based strategic shifts. And simply said, if you look at the business world the way you might have looked at it 3 years ago, you're dead wrong. And we'll get into some examples about how we're seeing that play out. So when we talk about Game Changer and the age of the platform and the 24-hour customer tonight, we're going to take a little bit of time up front to introduce some frameworks, some terminology, and some mapping of some of the titans of today into ways we think you should think about for your own businesses. And with that, John, maybe you can talk about who we have in the room and the number of companies that we have represented here.
Okay, and thank you, Nima, and it's been a pleasure working with you also, especially on this inaugural event for our new program series. So we're very excited about it. And as Nima said, we have just a great diversity of people and talent that have come here. And we're delighted with the number of people that have decided to grace us with their presence. And so we've also, though, looked at the number of companies that they're representing. And we have a slide showing that. Is that the clicker?
Yes, it did.
Okay. I think you'll want that. And what is interesting is, I think we've added some more since this slide was built, but there are 35 companies that are represented here. And what's interesting in going through the list is that they represent a whole range of companies, mostly from the Valley, mostly technology, but they are product, service, consulting. They are small, medium, large. We have a startup in the group, and they are at all levels of the learning curve on the topic for tonight, which is the digital platform. So we think that's great. And one of the things we're excited about the range of people and companies is we're trying to develop a diverse mix of people that I think will energize the community and the network that we're really trying to develop here. It's more than us just talking to you, it's all of us engaging in the subject. So I will just add my one editorial comment that I love working in technology because every 10 years or more, especially here, there's a revolution, and so it just doesn't get dull. And so we're at that inflection point, and that's what Nima is referring to, and I'll turn it back over to you to get us started.
Thank you, John. So with respect to game changer in people, what we thought would be helpful to us as a group and to you as an audience would be to have people who have written, and therefore you see some books in the room, written about the topic, and therefore given us a kind of analytical view, some tools, and some ways to think about how the age of the platform is manifesting, both in terms of market competition, in terms of ways that you can design your own businesses and platforms as you convert your business models to the digital enterprise era. We also thought what was important to reflect the author's view is the market maker's view. And so when we thought about the panel as not just paneled as in a silo-based view, but in a fabric, we thought, Phil Simon is writing about this from a business provider's viewpoint, and the book he's just released called The Age of the Platform is something he's going to get into in just a few moments. Think of that as upstream in the value chain. On the other end of the value chain, we have Adrian Ott, the CEO of Exponential Edge, a renowned author in her own right, a recognized entrepreneur in many business circles today and in past times. And Adrian represents what we are as individuals, the consumer. And we're going to talk about how consumers are organizing, not just in retail-oriented ways, but some examples around how Occupy Wall Street is an example of how we have decided to take our leverage, unify without a preordained charter, and make a statement to very powerful forces in our world. And then lastly, again, the market maker's view. So Sherrick could say, great, I'm going to sit back for a couple of years, let this all play out, and then cherry pick what I want to do.
Just tell me what you wanted me to do. Where are we going? And we'll follow.
But instead, and we're going to get into this in the visuals, Salesforce is emerging as a market maker in its own right, not just in the platforms that we hear about in the CRM context or the Force.com context or the Chatter context, but really thinking about this in a pipeline mode, about what forms of collaboration, what forms of alliances, what is going to not only energize an ecosystem of developers so that they can move into new business areas outside of CRM, for example, but really what are going to be those business motions of the future. And if anybody was at Dreamforce, you would hear how they converted the discussion, unlike most technology forums today, into cause-based communities. And most of the breakouts got into a very high form of what we are as members of the digital community. So that is the spectrum we wanted to introduce with our panelists. And with that, I'm going to actually ask each of one of them, Phil, Adrian, then Sherrick, to introduce themselves personally.
Hello, my name is Phil Simon. I'm the author of 4 books. My latest is called The Age of the Platform, How Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google Have Redefined Business.
I'm Adrian Ott. I'm author of The 24-Hour Customer. It was named a Best Business Book 2010 and also won several awards. I also have been here in the Valley for quite a few years and have been a member of ASAP, and thank you for having us here today. My company consults with a number of clients here in the Valley and also outside the Valley, and we help them with go-to-market strategies. And I think that's it.
Sure. Sherrick Murdoff with Salesforce.com. I run partner development and investments, which means I look at strategic recruitment of partners, and then we also actually invest in partners. So I have not written a book, but I have been in alliances for the past 16 years since I actually started at PwC before the C, dating myself a little bit. So I was a consultant way back in the day with Price Waterhouse. And thank you very much for having me here and for having Salesforce. We are, Salesforce has been a lot more partner friendly, I would say, over the last couple of years. And so we're trying to get more involved with ASAP, doing a lot more with partners like Capgemini and others. And so appreciate you having us here and look forward to talking to you after too.
Thank you, Sherrick. So guys, let's get going.